Assalamu alaikum, this is SaqibSaab, and these are my Ramadan Chronicles for 2011, day 15. For day 15, we're going to be talking about halftime. The reason why we're talking about halftime doesn't have to do with the greatest NFL franchise in the history of the NFL, Chicago Bears. It has to do with the fact that Ramadan is half over. Check this picture out. I was driving to the masjid, and it was a very clear night, barely any clouds in sight, stars are visible, and you can see a very, very bright full moon. And since we're on a lunar calendar, anybody knows that when there is a full moon, that means the lunar month is half over. For Ramadan, that means our month of amazingness is now half over. And it's kind of sad. A lot of people all over the Muslim Ummah are expressing their sadness. It's all over the internet on Facebook and Twitter. People are trying to leave like deep, sad, and like retweetable, likable type of status updates about Ramadan's half over and what have you done and we should be sad and so on and so forth. And yes, it's sad. I totally admit that. It's kind of a big bummer, but at the same time, the glass is not just half empty, it's also half full. There's still a whole second half that we have to play the game. So on that note, I wanted to kind of talk about what I did to myself in terms of that halftime break. I kind of sat down and thought to myself, what should I be doing going forward for the second half? How should I kind of reorganize my strategy, kind of jump in there and make sure that I finish the second half strong, that I continue doing what I'm doing, and that I focus on fixing what I've not been doing well in the first half, and inshallah go from there. So 3 things that I've been doing. Number 1, or that I'd like to do. Number 1, I want to re-energize myself, right? I've been playing hard for the first half, or maybe not as hard as I should, but somewhat hard. So my body is going to be tired. It's going to be in need of nutrients, in need of like nourishment. So like any player would drink maybe water or possibly Gatorade, right, to get electrolytes back into your body. I should re-energize myself spiritually with some electrolytes as well. So let's just say what I intake on a mental spiritual level. Reading articles online, checking my Facebook, maybe watching like YouTube videos or whatever intake I have in terms of like stimuli, I guess. I should make sure that it's some good stuff, right? I'm not going to drink Coke during halftime. I'll make sure I drink Gatorade or G2 or water so I can replenish the energy that I need. So I thought to myself, I haven't really been listening to like the seer like I normally do during Ramadan because at the masjid I pray at or at the musalla I pray at, they don't have the same type of tafsir that regularly takes place at my masjid back home in Chicago. So I should re-energize myself going forward in Ramadan. I decided I'm going to listen to tafsir of surahs on YouTube. A good link that I can suggest to you guys that I plan on starting is on muslimmatters.org. My friend Sheikh Abdul Nasser Jangda, he's doing tafsir of Surah Yasin. I really want to hit that up. I haven't heard of tafsir of that surah, and I plan to use that as like my Gatorade to get the re-energizing and replenishment that I need. My second thing I want to do is I want to make sure that I have substitutions, right? You as a team, as a coach, you put out certain players for the first half, and you want to make sure you have the right combo of players to make sure your offense is good and your defense is effective. But then at the second half, or maybe even like in between timeouts or in between quarters, you want to reanalyze that and maybe substitute certain players with other players so that you can make sure that you're attacking properly, that you're scoring well, and that you're defending efficiently as well. So let's say my schedule, right? I've set up certain players of my schedule. It sounds so lame, but it's kind of work with me. I try to make sure that I have a certain schedule during this month in terms of work and coming home, doing these videos, Quran, going to the masjid, family time, so on and so forth. I know now after half the month, certain things are working and certain things aren't. So I'm going to try to make some substitutions and put in the right type of schedule so that I can perform better during the second half. The third thing is focusing on the fourth quarter. For those of you who follow NBA and basketball, This past year, the Dallas Mavericks won. I'm not sure how that happened, but congratulations to them for all you guys in Dallas. Take that with you. But the opposing team, the Miami Heat, everyone thought, at least people who were supporting them, and maybe people, some of the anchors and analysts on ESPN, they thought that the Heat would win because they have, the big three. They got LeBron James, they got Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh. But for some reason, they lost. And one of the biggest things that people noticed during the finals this time was that superstar LeBron James was not delivering in the fourth quarter, right? And they called him La Choke and La Loss, La Brick, and all these funny names. But it was a huge point of contention that how can LeBron James not score well in the fourth quarter? How can he not perform, right? And comparisons were made to like last year when he was on the Cavs and he messed up the fourth quarter then. And then, all the comparisons came out about Michael Jordan versus LeBron James and Kobe and all this stuff. But how important was the fourth quarter? Right? If you don't perform well then what's the point? You're not going to win, and not win is what he did. So, better luck next year and all that good stuff, but the fourth quarter is super critical. For me, I know that my fourth quarter is coming up the last 10 nights of Ramadan. And if I don't score well then, I really got to ask myself, or I'm probably going to ask myself, what was I thinking? How do I expect to win this month if I'm not going to score in the fourth quarter? So I'm going to plan to make sure that this last 10 nights, I do a good job. I'm actually going to be back home during that time for some family reasons. So I know I'll be back home in Chicago. I can do my thing. I can go to the masjids there. But I got to make sure I plan effectively now so that I can score well during those last few minutes. And inshallah, I can, attain the goals of Ramadan, forgiveness from Allah, gaining taqwa, God consciousness, all that good stuff. But it really comes down to planning properly. So during halftime, I wanted to kind of throw that out. That's my halftime plan. Inshallah, you can benefit from that. Reflect on like what happens at halftime. You got to sit down and think and be a coach and like motivate yourself. Inshallah, you can do that for yourself as well. So let me know if, what your thoughts were during halftime of Ramadan, seeing the moon being full. It's interesting that you can see a full moon very clearly during the half of Ramadan. And it's like Allah's trying to show me and show everybody that halfway done, But during the beginning of Ramadan, sometimes it's cloudy. You don't know when the moon kicks in, for those who use the moon sighting opinion, or at the end of Ramadan, right? But that's a different story. But, let me know what your thoughts are and how halftime has been for you. And inshallah, I'll talk to you guys later. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.